Sometimes we have to lie. Part of me thinks, I never lie. Then I think, who am I lying to? Me. Of course I lie. I lie every day. I call it lying honestly. Let's talk about living honestly, lying honestly, what it means, what are the benefits, and how to do it. By the end of the video, I'm going to show you some ways to lie honestly. Let's talk about that. Okay, as you may have guessed, I'm exaggerating. I am not advocating for lying. There is way too much lying going on in the world. It is disgusting. And I want to believe that I really do live in my truth, and that's why I make these videos, to speak about how to be an authentic voice in our truth. That said, we can't always speak our truth. Sometimes you got to tweak your truth a bit so it lands properly and be aware of the impact you make. You can't just spew off truth at work sometimes. It's like telling your best friend you look a mess. You might have that kind of relationship. It might be better to say, what's going on with that outfit? I think the red looks better on you. You say things differently. You're lying honestly. This is about being diplomatic and being aware of the impact of the room. And to do that, you must be self-aware. To catch those things that might come out of you that you mean in an authentic way that may not land the way you intended. Sometimes you got to tweak it so it almost feels like a lie, but I am not advocating lying. In the sea of lies and an ocean of disinformation, as many in the world bend the knee to the administration rather than standing up for themselves and all of humanity in hopes that they will win the good graces of the king, our voices of authenticity must be louder. In fact, they must be the loudest. We need to embrace our authenticity and live honestly. What do I mean by that? Know your quirks, your oddities, your passions, your triggers, the things that inspire, depress you, the things that make you work, the things that make you want to turn off. Act accordingly based on the true core of yourself. Don't ignore them. They are clues to pointing you towards fulfillment, meaning, and purpose. And yes, authenticity and living honestly. If you are not living honestly, embracing your authenticity, self-doubt is a lion that will devour you over and over again as you hide in the shadows, dampening your truth and suppressing your light. Don't you want to live a life where your actions are guided by truth? Where your authenticity repels lies and hate and attracts love and connection? Authenticity can protect you if you are courageous enough to use it. And it does take courage. I'm not making light of this. For me, authenticity and honesty has really removed me from very uncomfortable situations and parts of my life that were quite turbulent. It's like a bubble around me that shields me from some of the stuff. I feel it, I experience it, but living authentically repels it. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Before I get into some personal experiences, what does it mean to live honestly? I call them lions, life challenges, unchanging circumstances. It's more than a metaphor, it's a way of life. Living honestly is being authentic and embarking on a journey of your life that honors your core values, that seeks to understand the why in you, and is driven by your passions and your purpose, and not the external influences that can tell us what we should be doing. Even if you don't know what that purpose is, you can be true to the passions that drive you. Living honestly is being true to who you are and recognizing that you don't need permission or the approval of others to be who you are. Living honestly is taking accountability, letting go of excuses, and making and keeping commitments to yourself and to others who truly support you and who you are. Read more on embracing authenticity and living honestly in the article below from Psych Central. Here is why living honestly and developing authentic behavior is a must. It tones down the stress. It boosts your sense of self-worth, self-esteem, and confidence. Make deeper and reliable connections. Strengthen trust and fulfillment in your relationships. Say goodbye to depression and say hello to living a life of passion, purpose, and joy. Make deeper and reliable connections. Strengthen trust and fulfillment in your relationships. Discover who you truly are without mind chatter influenced by social norms. Improve your physical and mental health and overall well-being. We are all born unique and authentic, but society and social norms play a major role in conditioning our emotions, thoughts, and behaviors without our consent. Escape the emotional and mental limitations of social conditioning and be who you truly are. Not easy in this cancel culture. Here's what I mean. I've had a lot of opportunity to do, as they say, work the room, right? Being around people that are very powerful, that are connected, try to get more connected, networking, and get in with their in crowd, and try to climb your way to a higher, bigger, brighter mountain. That was just never my thing. Of course, I've done my share of that, but the real climbing, that high level climbing, never really appealed to me. My authenticity had to come first, and sometimes there was conflict in climbing that mountain versus being my authentic self. Clearly, I chose my authentic self, and that's what these videos are about. You're seeing, I couldn't do them if I was not being my authentic self. You're seeing me right now. I try to remain in this authentic place wherever I am. I can remember my freshman year of college. I was trying to make friends. I didn't know anyone, and I went to this big, huge party. I think it was the first week or two of classes. It was a big party. There were kegs, and there was wine, and there was all kinds of drinking happening. I mean, people were drinking like there was no tomorrow. And I was so traumatized because I didn't go to parties in high school. I was a bookworm. I certainly didn't drink, and I was a really, really good kid. And that was way too much. I ran back to my room and I cried. I was so upset. And in the morning, there was vomit in the hallways and vomit in the stairwell. I thought, where have I come? What have I done? And I opened those books and I didn't close them until I left to go to New York City to dance. I did not finish that degree. But I remember thinking, there is no way I want to be in that crowd that much. I am not going to change who I am to be in that crew. And those people were from wealthy families. They were clearly going to be going big and high places, and some of them did. I just did not want that. And I made a choice. If I'm going to be in a place like that, it's going to be without pretending to be someone else. And from that point on, I have stayed true to that. When those opportunities come before me, if I get to know this person or that person or make this move or that move, yes, of course, I'm strategic, but I try to remain my authentic self every time I do it so that when I arrive at that place, I can be myself. Because the worst thing is to rise to a pinnacle, have to play a role that is not you. It is terrifying, it's exhausting, and many times we fail, and there's a long way down for those people. And if that's you, no judgment. People are really good at that kind of thing, and I admire them and marvel at them. It is not for me. And this is where self-doubt gets in the way. If you don't know who you are, if you're not standing in your confidence, if I hadn't been confident enough to say to myself back then, I don't need those people, I'm going to do this my way. I'm not going to do that kind of thing to be in that group. That determination to be who I was shielded me from the temptation to honor my self-doubt that felt I should be in that room with those people. When we are living in our truth, there is no room for self-doubt. And the lion of self-doubt can take over if you're not being confident in who you are. Your confidence will protect you and keep you shielded from that lion. And we can't live in our truth and self-confidence if we're not willing to be in the room with the lion of vulnerability. I talk about that in episode 6. Explore your vulnerability and being in your truth. The most important person to keep it real with is you. Living honestly is being true to one's nature without feeling guilt or shame or needing others' approval. Research suggests that people who live authentic lives experience greater happiness, more positive emotions, and a higher self-esteem. There's a link below from ResearchGate with more of that research. As I mentioned earlier, I've watched people really rise, who are frauds. They're playing a game. We see it all around us. There are politicians who are twisting themselves in knots to be in the good graces of the king. And if it interests you, no judgment. There are billions to be made in that. Unfortunately, the cost can be the rest of the world. Many opportunities walk by because I wasn't willing to play a game to be in that space. I believe our authentic selves are really being called forth to rise up and balance the heinous evil that is swirling around us. I committed myself to authenticity a long time ago. I really can't pinpoint exactly when that was. I think being bullied, I had enough confidence from my parents. Thank you so much, Mom and Dad. Somehow I understood that the core of me was okay. I did, of course, have self-doubt and self-loathing and all the things that teenagers do, but deep inside, I had a confidence that I think protected me. I was able to make decisions like coming to New York City. That was a big deal. I weighed that decision for months and months and months, and I thought to myself, what does my most authentic self want to do? I didn't have that wording at the time. I didn't know what I was really thinking about, but I was honoring my core value of being creative and taking chances and seeing what could happen if I pushed myself to the limit of my ability. Studying chemistry was not doing it for me. So I came to New York and here we are, for better or for worse. It wasn't easy, and it's no fairy tale, but the authenticity it took to make that decision and honor myself, the authenticity it has taken to be myself in this world of lies and disinformation and greed and power and suppressing and all the things people do to each other, has taken a lot of energy and has come at a cost. But the reward that we have on the inside is immeasurable. The fulfillment and service of my purpose that I feel, I would wish that for everyone. And I hope I don't sound privileged and condescending by saying that. I do want that for people. I do want you to know that you can follow your heart. You can follow your authenticity. You can be honest. And if the people you're around can't handle it, change your situation. And if you can't, you do the lying honestly, right? You do what you got to do until you can do what you want to do. Be true to yourself and be true to others so that you remain in light and not darkness. And that's what these videos are. They are a reaction to the world. I want to put love into the world and believe that with enough love, we can balance the evil and take the reins again so the car is driven by love and light and not power and greed. I want to believe that this can happen. And that's why I hope you're watching. And I thank you for being here with me on this journey. And don't forget to like and subscribe. You know the drill. Thank you. Here's the most important question. To live authentically, we must explore ways to answer it. Who am I? Who am I is arguably the most important question we'll ever ask ourselves, and may take the longest to answer, and many don't have the answer. And here's why. Who we are is a construct of our internal and external influences. We hear voices and things from the outside world that tells us what we think we should be, and we fall prey to them and we become those things, and they are lies. We're told to have money, to have status, to have power, to have youth, to have beauty. Without these things, you are lower and less than, and it can be really, really damaging. It is very easy to fall prey to those influences. Like I said earlier, do we really need to be in the in crowd, or can we be the in crowd? Will I let external influences dictate what's important to me, or will I find fulfillment in my daily life, however humble? Who we are is a continuous process that expands across our entire life. The question is answered over decades and is refocused continually as we evolve. Who we are today may not be who we are in 2 years, 5 years down the road, and that's okay. The point is to be on the journey of answering it. You reserve the right to change your mind at any moment. It is your life, your passion, your dreams, your journey. We will have many identities as we live, and we must embrace and celebrate each one, even the parts of ourselves we may not like. I'm in a state of constant learning. I am checking in with myself. I'm reflecting on myself. I am forgiving myself. I'm refocusing myself every day. I would spend hours and hours binge watching series on Netflix, and I realized I should be stimulating my head. And I had reason to, because I was exhausted and I had a really demanding job. I have always had demanding jobs, and I needed escape. But I thought, I want my escape to be creativity. I want my escape to be self-improvement. So instead of binge watching more series, I'm making my own series. I love you, Netflix. Want to sponsor a video? I find that I want to understand the why behind all that I do, and I'm deeply curious about what your whys are and how you can engage in a deeper part of yourself. I don't know where these explorations or questions will lead. I'm just trusting the voice inside of me is telling me to keep asking them. And I invite you to consider what that would be like for you. For example, when I face conflict in workspaces over the years, I depend on my authenticity to show up, hold myself accountable, and not be distracted by the shenanigans of lost people. You have to lean in hard to what you do, to your confidence, to what you know, and let the rest be the rest. That's living authentically. That's honoring your purpose. That's moving forward in your love and in your light. And let the rest of the people do what they do and only focus on what you can control. You cannot control them. You can control how you react to them and how you feel about them when they play their games. And people play many games. I am constantly rediscovering myself, constantly learning more, constantly becoming more curious. And I forgive myself when I stumble because I know myself. Living authentically and honestly is a powerful way to be. It can be lonely, it can be scary, it can be painful, but when the dust settles, you are standing there in your love and in your light, and it feels amazing. Amazing. Let's talk about how you can improve authenticity in your life and live more honestly. Observe what you are suppressing in your life and explore why. Notice the energy you put into the world and ask yourself if it reflects who you feel you truly are. I do this every day. Is the energy I'm putting out in the world serving me and serving others? And if it's not, I try not to do it. Make a list of what needs to change in your life and take it one step at a time. Protect your energy by enforcing your boundaries. After all, we teach people how to treat us by allowing people to treat us in a certain way without real consequences. Teach people how to be around you. Hold them accountable when they are not following your rules for yourself. Whenever possible. It's not always possible, but whenever possible, make sure you are purposefully activating your boundaries when necessary. Speak your mind respectfully and do not play small. The smallest person in the room can have the loudest voice and the greatest impact. Without being loud or dramatic, you can be in your truth, and that can be very, very loud and impactful. Get curious and don't be afraid to explore new territory. We are always learning ourselves. Don't be afraid to let go of what no longer serves your well-being. What we gravitate to changes over time. Check out episode 5 for more on learning how to let go of things that no longer serve you. Remember that making a commitment gets you started, but consistency will see you through. Make a commitment to be on a lifelong journey of getting to know yourself, standing up for yourself, being honest with yourself, and standing in your authentic light. We have to lie to survive sometimes. These aren't lies if we do so authentically, honestly, and in self-reflection and awareness of them. I'm not literally referring to lies. It's lies in air quotes, meaning that you're aware of what you're saying and doing, even if you've got to tweak your method so that it lands how you want it to. You're being aware of the impact you have on the room. You can't always be your true self, your raw self. You can't always speak your mind. It's not always safe to do so. So that's when you honestly do what you can, say what you need, and remain in your light. You got to do what you got to do until you can do what you want to do. And how that plays out in your life is up to you. As our politicians bend the knee and jeopardize all democracy and humanity, literally, our authentic voices must be the loudest, our lights must be the brightest, and we must stand in our truth to fight for the truth and light and love of others who might not have the opportunities that we have. We are one planet, one tribe, one world, and now is when that counts. Don't ignore the voices of honesty inside. You hear them. They are clues to point you towards happiness, fulfillment, and a life of meaning. It takes courage to listen, let alone act on them, but you can do it. Here are some quotes about living authentically. If I didn't define myself for myself, I would have been crunched into other people's fantasy of me and eaten alive. Audre Lorde. You must decide who you are and force the world to deal with you. James Baldwin. Don't do things others can do and will do if there are things others cannot do and will not do. Amelia Earhart. Our lives are up to us. What kind of life do you want to live? A life sculpted by the outside world determining what you should be? Or a life that you carve for yourself? You decide. Keep believing, keep reflecting. One love, one tribe, one planet, one world. Next one will be there, playlist there. Thank you for being here with me. Love and light to you. I'll see you there.